Hi and welcome back to our lesson number 3, and we're talking a little bit more about water. And I did miss last time to talk a little bit more about the wonders of water, but we stopped talking about water with the phase diagram that I showed you on water, and we have the phase diagram again over here. And I would like to get into a little bit more on that because I would like to show you a couple of interesting things about it. Just keep in mind that the phase diagram is not drawn to scale. That's fine for what we were going to do here. If you need really to do something serious on that, you can look up on a real detailed phase diagram. But for our purpose, this is good enough over here. Now, one thing we should keep in mind is that we have the triple point of water, and that's at 0.010 degrees Celsius, and it's at a quite low pressure. It's at 0.611 kilopascal, and the triple point is down over here, what we have. And the triple point is where we have all states of matter together. So we have the solid, we have the liquid, and we have the gas over here. Now, one very interesting thing about water is that if you increase the pressure and going, for example, from the solid, and you increase the pressure, it actually starts, you can see that it goes, for example, over here, the lower temperature than 0 degrees Celsius, you have ice, and you increase the pressure, you go over here and you suddenly reach into the liquid. So you actually get to melting your ice by putting pressure on it. That's very unusual because most compounds, most substances are not doing this. Most substances are doing it in a different way. In that case, it's actually going, in that case, you had here a negative slope. Here you have a positive slope. So normally what's happening if you put pressure on a liquid, it actually solidifies. So water is something special in that already, also that we have over here. Now, for some time it was thought that this actually is the reason that you can do ice skating. That's not perfectly true. It definitely is not the case that this is the only reason for that. You could actually put an elephant on ice skates and it would not be enough pressure so to really be recognized in that way. So the whole thing about ice skating is much more complex, and there are a couple of things that are going into that, but it definitely still is true that not for the ice skating, but that pressure can lead to the melting of the ice. Same is true for the moving of glaciers. If you have a glacier like this one here, this is in the Schnalz Valley. That's very close to the valley also where Ötzi had been found. It's on the other side or so. And these glaciers are moving. And again, here also, yes, the pressure is quite intense of the pressure on the ground, and water is melting and ice is melting there, but that's not the only reason for the glaciers of moving. This picture is a couple of years ago when I was on a hike up on that glacier, so it makes me kind of sad because due to climate changes, this glacier is actually melting down a lot, and trying to protect it, and it doesn't look as nice anymore as it does on this picture, which is very unfortunate and very sad in that way. Anyway, another thing about water is, this picture is showing me doing ice bathing, and besides trying to show off and to be able to stand this cold water over here, which is close to 0 degrees Celsius. It was actually, I think it was 2 degrees Celsius. What I would like to show you, it's less important to have a look at me, but it's more important to see that there's ice on the water over here. And that means that something very interesting is again happening for water, that ice, the solid water, is floating on the liquid water. And that again is quite unusual. That's that the density of ice is lower than that of water, and that is very important because lake is when it's cold enough, there's ice forming on the top of the lake, and it doesn't start from the bottom up, and that's quite important for animals who live in the lake, and that's very important. Otherwise it would be very difficult for fish to survive if they constantly get frozen and so on. So that's something again that's an interesting aspect that we find over here. Now, another very interesting aspect of water is if you have water, we put this in here into this iron sphere. We put the water in here, and you fill it up to the top, and then we put the screw onto that. That's cast iron, so it's very heavy iron what we have over here. And as you can see, the screw is really, it's tightly screwed in. So we really make sure that it definitely can hold a lot of pressure. And once we're done with it, we put it into a bath, which is acetone and dry ice. So we're going down to much colder temperatures, around minus 78 degrees Celsius. And so what happens is the water is freezing in the iron sphere. And after time, you can see it actually is able to break the iron, because the water, when it freezes, it expands and it gets a bigger, it's going into a bigger volume, and that's strong enough that it actually breaks this iron sphere here in that way. So I think with this we have a chemistry 42 moment, and that definitely I think is important. We have water that expands a lot when it freezes, and the ice needs more volume than liquid water. And besides that, you have like what we have over here, what you just saw, this iron cast sphere. But I think some of you probably already have found out that you probably left a bottle of water in the car when it was really cold outside, and then what happens also, the bottle breaks. It usually doesn't explode on you really, but it cracks and it is broken, and then you have like a problem because you have all the glass around. Also pipes in winter, if they are filled and there is no way to have space for the increasing volume, the pipes are breaking. So all of that is quite well known, and it's something special that you find out on that. This is something, besides that it's a nice interesting fact, so that's also very important with regard to the special properties of water, because when the volume increases, when water freezes, this is important in medicine, because if you have to transport for example, something that has been from tissue or so that you used, for example, any kind of for transplantation, you have to transport it, and you have to make sure that you don't freeze the material. This had happened in the past, and people screwed up transplantations because they thought they make it especially good and they freeze the whole tissues, and that is not something or so that you really should do, because as you've seen, if you have water is in living cells and in cells at all, also in dead cells, but when you freeze it or so, it breaks the cells, and so you should not go below the 0 degrees Celsius. It was kind of, I think you know about that some people are going into something that's called cryonics. That's you let your, when you're dead, you let your body being frozen in the hope that in the future time you will have enough medical knowledge to get back to life. And in the beginning or so, this was also done in the wrong way, because when people were frozen, the dead bodies were frozen, the cells were broken, because the volume increases, and that was not really helpful. And I think you will not be ever able to get a body to life again once the whole cell structure is broken. Now, if that's done now, actually the fluids in the cells are replaced by antifreeze, and to avoid this, so the cells would keep in the way and are not broken. And so anyway, I think it's more important to know if something is happening, or so that you have to deal with cells in any kind of material. You have to make sure that you don't freeze it, otherwise you will really destroy it. Water is liquid under normal conditions. For you, it's normal conditions. Water is liquid, but actually it's quite strange, and we will get back into that, why this is strange, that it's liquid under normal conditions. We would not expect that for different reasons, but we will have to get into that in the near future. Then we have seen that we have the melting point that decreases with increasing pressure. Also, again, unusual. And we have seen that the ice has a lower density than liquid water, so that leads to the fact that ice floats on the surface of water. We also can make use of some of the special properties of water. For example, in wintertime, if there's not enough snow, we can actually make artificial snow. And that again is just using our knowledge on how to do that and having an application on that we have learned how to work with the properties of water. Now, going on a more generalized situation, we want to look into the states of matter. We have seen that we have a gas, liquid, and solid, and now we can look into that. We have the liquid. We can do by freezing go to the solid. We can go from the solid by melting to the liquid. We can go from the liquid to the gas by vaporization and the gas going back to the liquid by condensation. But there's something else we didn't talk about yet, and that is if you have a gas, you can deposit directly to the solid without going through the liquid. And you also can take a solid and can go from the solid by sublimation. That's the process, how it's called. We can go over to the gas over here. Now that's a little bit more unusual to many of you. So I would like to show it to you that the sublimation, that's a direct transition from the solid state to the gaseous state and without becoming a liquid phase. And this is, as I said, it's called sublimation. There's an example that's called dry ice. That's solid carbon dioxide. And the solid carbon dioxide, you can see down here, this is a pellet of solid carbon dioxide. And if you put this on your hand, it just disappears without that you see any liquid on. You need to do it on a glove, otherwise you will your hand will get frozen. But that definitely also, you put it on a table, you just see it disappear without any process that it going into a liquid. And we can do this now, which is usually the example for to do it, is to have a look at iodine. And iodine is here, it's a solid, it's a purple compound, it's very darkly purple, it actually looks nearly black. And if you heat it, you can see that we get now the gaseous state, it becomes a gas. And in that case, the gas is not invisible. It actually has a nice purple color, so you can definitely see it. And you cannot see a liquid. It just comes from the solid immediately by heating it up. It becomes a gas, and the gas comes up, and this flask contains here you can see nicely the fumes of the gas, and the gas in the flask there's cold water, and as the gas hits the cold flask, it solidifies, so it decomposes, and you can see the solid iodine now again on the flask. So you kind of went back through this procedure what I just described. You have a sublimation, and you have finally you have a decomposition, and this process can be used to purify, for example, compounds. If you have a mixture of different things and one of the compounds is able to sublime, you can really nicely get it in a very pure form out of that. Sublimation also can occur from water, and that's an effect that you find that if you have done your laundry and you put it out in a very cold environment and you see that your laundry is actually frozen, it still will be possible that it's going to dry. And because the water is going from the solid state in slowly, it's not a fast process, but over time, it also goes into the gaseous form, and your laundry will still become dry. Again, you see this picture is created by AI, and it made again the same mistake by showing here figuring out that this would be like the water gas, the steam coming out, which is absolutely wrong, because in that case you would not see anything like this. This was trying to make it especially good, but that's the wrong picture. Also in that way, you won't see anything under these temperatures. The water in the solid form is going into the gas, but the gas is colorless and invisible to us, so you won't see it. Now, the process of the sublimation is something very important. It's also, again, it's used a lot in food chemistry, also in medicine, and the process is called freeze drying or lyophilization. And that is that you may have a product that is frozen, and then you take the product that's frozen, put it in a vacuum, and then you make that you get the sublimation. You can get the ice directly into vapor without melting. And I have bought, just for that purpose, I bought some of these wild berries that have been frozen and then they have been freeze-dried. So these are freeze-dried berries in that way. This is a process that is a lot of times used for different things, as I said, in food chemistry and also in medicine. Now, with this, we still have, I think, quite a lot of open questions that we should answer in the near future. One of the things I just avoided so far is, but I think everybody knows of you, that water is, the chemical formula is H2O. That's one formula that nearly everybody knows, I think. But we did not discuss anything about this formula yet and what does it actually mean. And the question is still open. So what is matter really made of? So we still have to discuss this and how we can separate these substances at all. There's something that we call chemical elements, and how do the chemical elements come in here? And with this, we will do in the next, in the next few lessons, we will get into all of these problems or so. It will take a little while to get to all of them, but we will look into that. And in the next lesson, we will look into matter, mixture, separation, and then also get into the elements, and we will have a look at this. So, see you in the next lesson.